Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah and welcome to another episode of reviews, book reviews, fantasy reviews by Fantasy Majlis. My name is Ammar Naimi and I am an author of fantasy books in English. I'm also the owner of Fantasy Majlis, which is a bookshop which specializes fantasy books that have philosophical aspects to them. Today, we're talking about A Wizard of Earthsea, which I've always heard about over the years, but I never actually picked it up, and I don't think I've ever seen a copy in Oman. In short, this is a lovely, 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 amazing book. It gave me a sense of nostalgia, even though I had never read it before. Uh, it's such a cozy fantasy which takes you through this incredible archipelago where the story is going. You know, like this is what the archipelago looks like. And it tells you so much about how to be a person, about the importance of introspection. And it has a really cool magic system which is based on naming. And I just adored it. Ursula Le Guinne is a fantastic, amazing writer, which makes sense because she won a lot of awards. In this review, we're going to be talking about the book's plot, the world building, the characters, the magic system, the writing style, and finally, we're going to be talking about philosophical elements. So, let's get started. A Wizard of Earthsea is about the story of a guy who's going to become an incredible archmage called Ged, or the Sparrowhawk. But before all of that, he was just a kid and driven, by his hubris, his belief in himself. He goes to a magic school and he commits an incredible mistake. He commits this grave wrong, which impacts him and those around him, and it really leaves a spiritual and physical scar on him, and it unleashes a shadow upon the world. Now he needs to face that shadow, and it's really just the story of him growing up, slowly learning to be a better person, and then facing that shadow towards the end of the book. And I just loved it. It's basically this backstory or origin story of the next Wizard King, I guess. The thing I really liked about the plot is how clear Ged's motivations were, because the plot really takes you through what he wants to do and why he wants to do it, and it just takes you through this logical journey. And I loved it. It gave us a glimpse into his character, it gave us a glimpse into what it means to be a person, and it was just awesome. Moving on to the world building, I think this might be my favorite part of the book, maybe, because the world is this. This is the world. It's an archipelago made up of different islands which have its own peoples, I guess. And the world is built in such a way that it mixes between the magical and the mundane, where you have, fishermen and eagles and trees and wildflowers, and then you also have these wizards who have the ability to command the wind, and they've been ingrained into the society of the world. You have dragons, but they're rarely seen, but people accept their existence. And there's this marriage between the mundane and the magical in the world. And what I loved about it was how accepted both of these parts were. It really felt like magic was a part of this world, ingrained within it, into its histories, into its myths and legends and science. It was just awesome. It was lovely to see this marriage of these things, where the wizard, like, as a wizard, you need to learn the seasons and cycles of rose petals, because otherwise you can't use the magic in that world. It was just really cool. So yeah, the world building was awesome. Moving on to the characters, I feel there was a sense of hegemony, maybe, I don't know if hegemony is the right word, but there was a type of sameness in a lot of characters. Yes, there's some flavor um, to Ged's best friend, to his various masters, but really, there were two types of characters. There were simple folk, or fishermen, and pirates, and rulers, and all of that, and you have wizards, and they really felt same like, where the simple folk were really simple, and they were just living their lives, going through the motions, and they respected nature, and they just went through their lives. And then you have the wizards who have learned how to impact the world around them, but they've become so wise that they're very careful in how they interact with the world. And so they're also very simple, but in a different way. They have a simpleness which comes from their understanding of the world. Where I think a prime example is Ged's master, who prefers to speak to trees rather than people, and he ignores people who go to him asking for favors. But he understands so much about the world, and he understands so much about what it is to be a person. And maybe an exception to the rules of this world is Ged himself, because he's so proud, he's so willing to strive for greatness that he keeps making mistakes. And his master says to him at some point, where he says, when you're a child, you believe that the world is open and you can do whatever you want. And then as you grow and you understand and you gain true power, you actually become limited, because you understand the impact that you can have on the world, and you understand that there are some times where you should not use your power, and so you become more restricted, until finally you reach a stage where a man only does what he must do. And it's just a really nice way of looking at the world. So that's about the characters. Let's move on to the magic system. Guys, I lied. My favorite part of the book is not the world building, it is the magic system. It's such a nice, cozy magic where you have summoning, transfiguration, naming, singing for some reason, and all of it is related to this old language, which is derived from the real names of things. But in order to understand the name of the thing, you must understand the thing itself. And so knowing your name means understanding yourself on some level. Knowing the name of a flower means being worthy to know that name. And that means not just being told the name, it means understanding how much water that flower needs, where it grows, what kind of soil it requires, the seasons in which it grows, what sort of winds harm it. It goes to the stage where they explain where there is a specific name for the wind that blows upon a river next to a creek in the land of Ur. And if you go somewhere else, that wind would have a different name. And so naming becomes deeply intertwined with understanding nature and the physical world and the cosmos around them. And it's just so beautiful, because it gives you this sense that wizards really must earn their power through understanding and wisdom. And this is deeply related to the philosophical implications of the book. But I loved the way the magic works. It's so cozy, it's so deep while being soft at the same time. And it was awesome. Now let's talk about the writing style. I think Ursula Le Guin did a really smart thing, and I don't know which came first. Does she really have a very simple, precise, cozy writing style? Or did she choose a story which benefits from that kind of writing? I don't know. I really don't know which came first. Was it the plot or the world or the writing style? But it just fits so well. The writing, let me read you something from here. Of the 70 crewmen of the ship, some were like Ged, very young in years, though all had made their passage into manhood. These lads called him over to share food and drink with them, and were friendly, though rough and full of jokes and jibes. They called him Goatherd, of course, because he was gauntish, but they did not go further than that. He was as tall and strong as the 15-year-olds, and quick to return either a good word or a jeer, so he made his way among them, and even the first night began to live as one of them, and learned their work. This suited the ship's officers, for there was no room aboard for idle passengers. The language is so smooth. And I really appreciate how Ursula Le Guin utilized character distance. This is a very easy technique to learn at the start, but it's a technique that's very difficult to master. Where if you wish to put me in a character's head, you go very deep in the description and you put me into the character's mindset. And if you want to create some distance, you describe things from far away without really letting me know what the character is thinking. And Ursula uses the second type very effectively because she's giving you an overview of the world and the happenings, and it's just giving you so much in terms of vibes without ever slowing you down by putting you into the second by second or the detail by detail of the description. And it just works. It just works. It gives you a sense of whimsy, it gives you a sense of nostalgia, it gives you a sense of beauty and appreciation for the world without really being very deep into it. And I adored it. I loved it. It's just fantastic. And it works with the theme. Now, let's talk about the philosophical theme of this book. I think really that you can split this book philosophically into two parts. The first part is essentially, I think, maybe a Stoic type of philosophy where there is a place for inevitability of fate in the cosmology of this world, and it's mixed with the necessity of gaining knowledge and wisdom, which is also attached to learning to be very introspective and learning to seek knowledge and only do what needs to be done for the world around you. Being brave, being slow of word, doing only what needs to be done. It's just like almost a book for sages in some way. And I really love that. So that's the first part of the book. I feel like there's a lot of stoicism seeping through this book. But maybe that's because I focus more on my reading of stoicism rather than Epicureanism and the Aristotelian school of thought. So I'm going to get to that at some point. The second part of the philosophical implications of this book comes from appreciation of nature. And I don't know really where this comes up. Maybe it's because of when this book was written. I think this book was first published in the 60s. Let's see. Yes, first published 1968. So you have to appreciate the context of industrialization really ramping up, and you're almost getting into the 70s where there was a sense of counter culture. And I think this book comes from a place where Le Guin said, hey guys, we should really just really appreciate nature a lot more. And it's everywhere. It's in the magic system, it's in the world building, it's in the writing style. There's such a deep appreciation for nature, trees, wind, and the role they play in the balance of the universe, and how people really need to appreciate it. And I adored that. It was a really strong message in the book, and I loved it. All in all, I think this was a fantastic book. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. This is probably my favorite book of the year so far, which is good because it is available for purchase on my online store. So if you go to the link in the description or you go to the Fantasy Majlis uh, bookshop on Instagram or through my website, you can pick up a copy. And I really think this book is perfect for people who love cozy fantasies and who want something really deep and slow that you can just sink into and love. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like, comment, share,